start where we finished last video. Principal display participant disclaimer is basically just a registration form that ensures that the participant, sort of like a legal obligation that ensures that the participant, if anything does happen to them, the researcher is no longer viable as long as it's within the risk assessment area, sort of thing. Equality and impartiality, obviously treating everyone equal and ensuring that you're not trying to manipulate the results to get the result that you want, and ensuring that it's equal for everything and everyone. Research responsibility, so this is ensuring that as a researcher you're responsible and you do everything ethically and lower the risk of anyone getting hurt or injured during your research, and ensure that everyone's comfortable and happy during it. Deception is when a part of the test is in there to deceive someone, or maybe act as a bit of an unknown. So for example, earlier on we saw how a bit of deception was used when taken in to blindfold them, so they didn't know what was going on, it was all unknown, and the participant doesn't know it is going to happen. Health and safety, this is quite straightforward. So simply health and safety is just ensuring that everything's in place and that there is nothing that can hurt the participant while they're participating in the test. Confidentiality and anonymity is ensuring that everyone's details, name and stuff is confidential. It's almost like you're doing the test anonymously, so none of your results or anything will be released to anyone it shouldn't do unless you've given permission to do so. However, confidentiality, ensuring that information given during the research, collected during the research, remains secret and between the researcher and the people that need to know. Data protection is the legal control over the access to data and the use and storage. So basically ensuring that no one that shouldn't get hold of it gets hold of it, ensuring that it's remained secret, and stuff like that. Scientific misconduct, experts and reputation. So basically this is ensuring that as the researcher, you do not act in a way that is unethical, is anything that could be associated as misconduct. So this could be putting the participant at risk, maybe legally or in other ways. And ethical training. So this is training that will teach researchers about what is ethically right, what ethically is pushing the boundaries of what you're not allowed to do. And this is all very important in assuring that you have a fair and a trial that everyone wants to take part in and that is ethically correct and isn't going to harm anyone. Reprimand or suspension, so this is just a consequence of something might happen if your test isn't ethical or legal, or puts someone at risk or at harm, or there's something wrong with your test, then it could lead to suspension, jail terms, sacking from jobs. And finally, basis accreditation. This is simply, as mentioned earlier, the certificate that will be given to those that are seen as quality researchers and that have worked and produced quality work and quality research projects. Now looking at scenario 1, we're going to compare. We're going to read these and see what's wrong about the scenario given. So comparing the flexibility of 3 different groups of gymnasts. One control group one group that hasn't participated in dynamic stretches, and then the final group have done PNF stretches. To test the effects of stretching on the muscle flexibility, the participants were allocated a groups without knowing what group each will entail. The participant will be of a gymnastics class, and the test will be compulsory for all gymnastics. So let's start by looking at ethically what is incorrect. So firstly, it mentions no fact that a health and medical screening questionnaire has been partaken before. So this means that any injury, so say someone's got a recurring hamstring injury or quad injury and they do some of these PNF stretches or dynamic stretches, they could be more at risk of pulling or tearing a hamstring doing them. And then after this, it states that the group are allocated the what groups they're going to be in out of the three. However, they don't know what the groups entail as far as dynamic stretching wise, PNF stretching wise. They aren't made aware of this. They're just told there's 3 groups. And this is deception, as they're not knowing. They're going into the unknown. They're not made aware of what is happening. Obviously, going back to the health and screening questionnaire also, if a person was to injure themselves because you haven't done that, then you will be seen as at risk, and you could be looking at depending how badly they injure themselves, if it's something more serious, something disease related, so maybe they suffer more serious illness due to what you've partaken, then you could be looking at jail time as a lack of responsibility and neglect. However, it could also be fines or sacking from a job. Moving back onto the deception, this is obviously going to cause the participants a bit of mental harm. It's going to worry them. It's not particularly professional as a researcher, as people in the past have been criticised for this. And finally, it says the participants will be from a gymnastics class and will be forced to do it. Of course, this is going against the fact that these aren't volunteers, which they should be. You shouldn't force anyone to participate in activity that you don't, or a research project that they don't want to. And this could yet again result in the individual having to take on some ethical training in order to overcome the fact he's done this and not look to get volunteers in. Also, if they're under the age of 18, they could be looking to use a consent form. So looking at scenario 2, the gymnasts will have their blood lactate levels tested after completing a high intensity circuit on the beams. The volunteer gymnasts will only find out on the day who is taking the test. However, the researcher will likely have a lack of knowledge and experience in blood lactate testing. Each result taken will be placed on an electrical board that everyone can see in the group. The gymnasts will then that are participating in the experiment will be younger. Therefore, they will require a consent form. So to begin with, we can look at the fact that there's blood lactate levels are being taken. So obviously, yet again, this is important that a health and screening questionnaire is taken, especially with stuff like blood, as if there are any diseases or illnesses that the individuals have, it's just incredibly important, as it could cause them great physical harm if they don't look at these. And then looking firstly, the fact that this time they have got volunteers coming in, they aren't forcing to do it, so this is a positive. However, the researchers said to have lacked knowledge and experience. This could cause great physical harm, as they could be testing wrong. They could put the individual at risk physically, as they could potentially take blood lactate examples from the wrong place or from the wrong type of test. Also, it's going to cause them a lot of mental harm, as they're going to struggle to trust the person and the researcher if they're aware that they've not got a lot of knowledge. And you could look at it as deception if they haven't told the individual that they lack in knowledge, lack in experience. Each result, the fact that each result is taken, is not data protection. Anyone can see that data that walks into that room, and also it's not confidential either, so this could lead to the individual being affected emotionally more than anything, or if the data got into the wrong person's hands, potentially this could be an issue. Finally, the fact that the gymnasts are younger, they do state that they need a consent form. This is important and something that needs to be done. Looking at scenario 3, a BASIS accredited researcher collects a group of 20 volunteers in order to test the muscular endurance of gymnasts. In order to do this, the volunteers have to complete a health and screening test before. The test will look at how long the gymnasts can maintain a simple position while holding onto the bars, with the aim of the test to be find out if there's a relationship between muscular endurance and age. And there will be a variation of under 18s and older participants. The under 18s will need a consent form. We're not made to fill out a consent form. The tester makes it obvious throughout the test that they would prefer throughout the test that she would prefer that there was a evidence that age does have an impact on muscular endurance, by encouraging people to stop near times that suited this result. So to begin with, we look at the fact they're BASIS accredited, means they're experienced. They obviously have a lot of have done a lot of quality research before. The 20 volunteers are the 20 people doing it are volunteers. This is also important. And they have had to complete a health screening test before. So obviously the first bit is all correct. They've gone around this ethically and legally. The fact that in the second part of the test they say that their parents won't be made to use a consent form. This means that if any of the under 18s were to become hurt or in any way suffer any harm, then the individual is viable to losing their accreditation, potentially being sued or facing fines for the fact that they've gone around their practice unethically and incorrectly. Finally, the tester is trying to influence the research to get a certain review. Obviously, this isn't. This could be looked at as a slight damaging effect to equality within the test, as she's favouring one side over the other. This could lead to sackings or suspensions. And also, it's going to affect the final outcome of the test, as obviously it's not proper research. It's unethically gained, as she's tried to gain the results that she wants rather than the true and positive results that they should gain.